I turned 60 this year, and this was one of the transformational years for me because I began to really understand how I have failed at most of the things I tried to change about me over the years. Hello, I'm Dan Clark, and welcome. I know that this is always a time of year, it's the Christmas season, where we want to begin our new year with new plans. We all do that, don't we? We don't do New Year's resolutions much anymore. We don't. I quit writing in my journals about what I was going to do, my goals for the next year in 2014 because I wasn't accomplishing them. And it was between 2014 and now, which is 5 years later, that I actually have learned how to accomplish, how to finish some of the things that I've started. You know, maybe you're like me. You make lots of plans, but you have a difficult time finishing them. Have you started a business or wanted to lose weight or wanted to change a behavior and you're unsuccessful at it? Now, the reason that most of us feel like we're unsuccessful is we don't have the skill, or we're lazy, or we're not good enough, or whatever those things are. And we're really not lazy and we're not good enough. It's not because we're not good enough or lazy, it's because something else is going on the inside of you. Now, as a life coach, one of the things that I've learned is that I would say probably 10, maybe 15, maybe I'll even raise it to 20%. It's just an arbitrary number. It seems like that not everyone that decides to go into a coaching program or to start a business or to do something that they feel like they want to do really well in accomplishes it. It seems to me like that a lot of us just fail along the journey. And I don't think that needs to be true. I don't think that we need to be having this high rate of failure. I believe, however, but the reason that we aren't able to complete what it is that we've started is because something that we don't know about ourselves. And I want to share some of those things that might be beneficial to you here, okay? Now, I recognize that everyone's on a different place. Everyone has different ways of thinking about the world and different faith systems and really who you are. But inside all of us, at one time, we were a child. And those early years formed some things about the way that we think. Now, I saw someone a couple months ago and they said, I don't want to talk about my childhood. Well, we're not going to. But here's what is true, is we're going to investigate what you're thinking about because what you think about is directly related to your childhood. I know that somebody raised you, and that when that person was raising you, they were holding you by the hand and changing your diaper and feeding you and clothing you, and you were in that society and that culture, and all those things formed how you think about the world. And how you think about the world, what's actually happening on the inside of you, forms the way that you do everything. In other words, if you have had plans for years about doing something, if you have felt like that you wanted to do something that was bigger than you, that maybe God called you to do something, or that you have a purpose, or that you can't seem to get it all together, even in the relationship that you're in, or even in the small things like either losing weight or changing something about your personality, those are all related to a couple of very basic foundational understandings. And one of those basic understandings is this, that when you don't know why you can't do something or accomplish something, it's there's something inside you don't know. Now, if we were an archaeologist, we'd be digging through things and want to figure out how to find out what it is that's there, that how they live their life. And maybe that might be a little bit true in this story when we're talking about how you were raised and what's going on inside you. But it's not about figuring out what went wrong, it's figuring out about what's true. See, what's true is that the things that you think about are true. The things that you believe are true. And if the things that you think about and the things that you believe aren't coming to pass, then there's something that's hidden on the inside of you that is preventing you from accomplishing or doing the things that you want. That's a long story to say this. The short story is that I want you to join me on a journey here. I want you to be thinking about the fact that if you spent some time becoming more emotionally aware of who you are, I promise it can change you. I promise that if you recognize and step into the emotional patterns that are inside of you and how that they affect the way that you think, then you can change almost anything about you. It's all about recognizing the emotional construct of who you are. I'm not asking you and not suggesting that you need to be more emotional or less emotional. I'm talking about being aware, consciously aware of what's happening on the inside of you. I know that this is the transition that I went through in these past number of years. I've had some recent experiences where I've been told over and over again that I'm really so different than I used to be. And it's true. And that's because I'm doing the work that I'm explaining to you. I'm suggesting that you also can do. It's powerful stuff. Now this sounds, I don't know, maybe a little childish at some point or maybe a little bit lightweight, but we all have a kid on the inside of us. We all are at some point still small. And to make that into the adult language now, your energy inside you and your thoughts all flow up. You know, whatever you think about it, things flow up. And what's flowing up creates the thoughts inside your head. And the thoughts inside your head, that what you think about actually directs everything about you. Let me give you an example. I hate myself. I'll never accomplish this. Nothing ever goes my way, no matter how hard I try. It doesn't matter how often you say those things. It only matters that you say them. Because when they come to your conscious awareness, it means that those thoughts are buried inside you. Most of us want to push them away. I don't want to feel them anymore. I don't want them to be true for me. Wow, you know, what good does that do, right? What happens if you push emotions down? Well, they come out, I don't know, in an inappropriate way, right? I'm angry, or I'm harmful, or I'm just not happy. Again, this process of learning how to accomplish the goals that you want, I believe, is directly related to recognizing the things that are motivating us on the inside. And it comes from two basic behaviors and understandings. Now, I'm going to make this kind of lightweight because it's a little more complicated than this because it's individualistic. It begins on the person. But two things. Number one, we have to notice our behaviors. And number two, we have to notice our emotions. Now, I didn't say thoughts, and that's because we can notice the thoughts, but our behaviors are the things that we typically notice first, right? Why am I doing this? And then what are the emotions that are attached to that? Like the other day, I was here at the house, I was working on some projects, and I was having some sadness on the inside of me, and I was recognizing that I'd spent the entire day not talking to anyone. And part of what I need in order to be really healthy emotionally is I need to have quality conversations. And so I had some conversations. I called some people. I called a friend. I texted someone, get some texting going back. Again, that's because the way that my structure is that I need conversations in order to keep me really healthy, to help me function well. Maybe you're different than that, but I was aware of the behavior and the emotions that were showing up. Now, I said two things, and let's back up to that. So let's actually add a third one. Thoughts are also really important because thoughts, again, structure who we are. When we are aware of our thoughts, we can become aware of how we can change them. Now, I start out by talking about the fact that you have goals that you want to accomplish. And of course, we're going into 2020, and it's a new century. What would happen if you spent a couple of months changing the way that you think about your life, changing the way that you are experiencing yourself on the inside? I mean, if you want to have really true joy, you have to change the thoughts on the inside of you. If you want to have true happiness, you have to change the thoughts that are on the inside of you. If you want to have relationships, if you want to be able to accomplish the goals that you've set for your life, no matter what they are, we have to change the construct of who we are. Now, some people have the ability of powering through, but you know, the downside to that is that if you can't power through and accomplish what you want, then what you're doing isn't working for you. I mean, we can give you lots of examples of executives who have achieved whatever goal that they wanted to achieve, but when they got there, it wasn't really fulfilling because the goal wasn't about their emotional being, it was about something that they were doing physically. That's why I'm having this conversation with you, is if you can't get to that goal, it's the same thing. The things that you're living on the inside of you aren't really helping you create that person that you need to be. So in this process, I'm going to be teaching some classes on transformational thinking, on emotional being. It's called social and emotional intelligence, if you want to use that term. And so what we're going to be talking about is how to become aware of what's happening inside me, my emotions, my thoughts, and my behaviors, and how to change those into things that actually help me become more fulfilled and more self-aware, and also aware of what's happening around me. It's simple skills, a little bit difficult to learn sometimes because most of us, like me, had shut my emotions off when I was small. Now, in this process, what we're going to be doing is practicing learning how to pay attention to the behaviors, paying attention to the thoughts, and paying attention to the emotions that we have, because all those things are wired together in our past, and the assignments that we'll be doing are directly related to that. Now, think with me for a moment. Again, here you are, listening to this. I don't know what's happening in your world right now. Unhappy, sad, frustrated, lots of ideas about what you really want to do different this year. Last year, the year before, I mean, think about it. In the last year or the year before, or even 3 years ago, what kind of things were you thinking about you wanted to accomplish in the new year? What was it that was going on the inside of you that you were blogging about or writing about or journaling about? What kind of things did you really want to see happen in your world different? And yet they didn't happen, or they didn't go forward, or you weren't able to accomplish them. I'm offering to you again an idea about thinking about that in a different way. I really want you to join me on this material. Now here's how this is going to work. I'm going to ask you for your name and your phone number and an email address, and when you sign up, I'll send you some information on that, and then maybe we can do a one-on-one phone call. There is some great things that you can learn on this. I do this one-on-one all the time. I'm going to be doing this in a group also. Once you give me your information, I'll send you some information about a group that we're going to be starting. And in this group coaching, we'll be talking about these skills. And in this group coaching, we'll be learning how to, since really we learn well in groups, we're better in groups, we're going to be talking about how all this works in a way that you can learn from those that are in the group also. I hope you take me up on this. I want this to be the best year ever for you. I want it to be my best year. I'm doing this work. I want you to do this work. Again, if you're unsettled, if you're unhappy, it doesn't matter what area of life it is. If things are not going well for you, this is the kind of thing that's foundational and can change everything about you. Again, I'm Dan Clark. I hope you join me on this journey.